Hello guys, welcome back, and today we're gonna be talking about Fate Remnant Collide. So yeah, let's begin, ladies and gents. So we're gonna be going to a different perspective this time, specifically towards Cinder, as she's currently going to the communications tower to try and hack it. But remember from the last episode on how Izuku decided to summon in a few of his servants to basically take care of the actual thing there in case of Cinder or anybody else deciding to cause chaos, like for example, let's just say infecting some of the droid or androids there that are basically been brought by Atlas. Yeah. So, as after doing so, two servants would basically be guarding it from the inside, specifically being that of Emiya, Alter, and Valkyrie, more specifically Thrud, wait, being that of Thrud, Hilder, and Ortlinda, aka the blonde-haired one, the pink-haired one, and the dark-haired one. So, as while she was basically wearing the burglar, almost Catwoman like suit, when she finally arrived inside, she would be surprised and would see both, or see the Valkyries and also Emiya Alter. As Emiya would say, so you must be the one that's trying to infect some of the droids that are being brought by Atlas, right? As after saying that, he would spin his guns. As Thrud, Hilder, and Ortlinda would wield up their spears and get ready their shields, as they would say, "You'll no longer be standing here. We will not let any of you, or more specifically you, escape," they would say in unison. As after hearing this, Cinder would say, this is certainly going to be an annoying... Wait for a second. As after doing so, she would say, this is going to be annoying, but I can manage, she would say. After doing so, she would start creating flames, as she would start creating a glass-like sword and would charge, using the flames to try and attack, the Valkyrie sisters. But by doing so, Emiya would build up his two, pistols, Concho and Bakia, as he would fire. As when she saw the attack, she would get shot. But instead of using aura, the aura would be nullified almost. As she would get, actually get shot at, getting holes in her, in her arm, as she would say, what the? As Emiya would say, I guess the runes are actually true. As after saying that, he would spin, his guns once again, as he would say, Master is quite talented. Well, considering that he's a mage prodigy, it makes sense. Though, as he would wield up both of his guns once again, as he would say, but too bad you're not going to report it to your master. After saying it, he would fire once again, as the blast would destroy nearby equipment. Doing so, she would try to dodge again, using her, using a shield made out of glass, which, by the way, sounds a bit, counterintuitive, because glass is pretty much fragile, but either way, as through the, blonde-haired Valkyrie, the blonde-haired Valkyrie would charge in, as she would use, one of her spears to be thrown, as doing so, it would cause the now glass-like shield to shatter. Doing so, she would dodge out of the way once again, as she would start creating two swords made out of glass again, and making it burn with the help of her fire. Doing so, she would charge right in, and she would fight both, Hilder and Ortlinda. Ortlinda and Hilder are pretty much overpowering her, considering that she's technically just human. Well, kind of, because that's a spoiler. Yeah, because, yeah, as while they were fighting, a person would basically come in, being that of, as well, as all of them would see Ruby, as Ruby would say, "What is going on?" She would say, as after saying that, both Emiya and our girls, like, the Valkyries, they would say, turns out that the one of them, or specifically her, is trying to cause some trouble here. They would say. Doing so, Ruby would get ready her scythe, Crescent Rose, as she would look over towards Cinder. Guess I'll help you out then. After saying so, she would charge right in, as she would start using shots from the. Wait for a second. After charging in, Ruby would start, using her scythe once again, as she would strike towards the now opposing girl. As she would look over and would see Emiya, as Emiya would look over and would get ready once again his guns, but this time saying his noble phantasm. Now, I am the bone of my sword, he would say. As doing so, he would fire, as he would say, "Get out of the way!" As Ruby would listen and would get out of the way, but before, she can actually get attacked or, get shot at, she would throw her sword, as the sword would take most of the damage of his noble phantasm, which is bullshit, by the way. The reason why I did that is because, well, it's going to be a surprise to us. This is going to be a surprise to us that will help us later. So, after doing so, she would be panting, as she would look over towards Emiya and the Valkyrie sisters. Damn you. Well, guess I'll just have to move on to plan B then. After saying that, she would get ready her swords, or not really swords, but more like get ready her powers, using fire specifically, as she would make a burst of flames as she would get out of there. Emiya would see the strategy in her, in her escaping, as he would decide to tell the Valkyrie sisters to get ready to tell the master, and he would start running away to follow him, or at least follow her. Doing so, we would go back to Ruby, as she would say, "Hey, you're Valkyrie, right? Or at least all of you?" Saying this, all of them would reply yes. She would ask if she could help, as they would say, "Sure, Miss Ruby, but for now, we should probably report this back to Master, or Rex," they would say. As after saying so, she would say, "Sure." As doing so, they would turn into their spirit form, as Ruby would start leaving to go back to the prom, or at least to the party. So we would go back to, as we would currently see our girl Cinder running. But while she was running, she would think to herself, "No, I can't fail. Why are these people? God, my arm." As while she was thinking that to herself, she would think, "Please, I don't want to fail. She's the reason why I have to live." As while she was saying this, Archer would slowly start, approaching her destination. As while she was saying this, she says to herself, "I don't want to fail Salem. I don't want to be considered useless. Never again," she would say. But after saying that, something would start to happen around her, but she would not notice. But when Archer finally arrived at her location, which is in the, I guess you could say, like near, like, inside of like the Emerald Forest, he would see that a summoning circle would start appearing. But this one is a bit different. Instead of being the usual red or blue, instead it's almost a malign, almost dark greenish color, as the entire area would start to glow. In the other side, as we currently see our boy Rex and the rest of Team Wrath as they're currently leaving, or at least getting ready to leave the, area. Or more specifically, the party, as it's almost finished. As when they're about to get out, I meant Rex. Okay guys, I think it's time to start now. Let's make a counter on how many times I keep saying Izuku instead of Rex, or in case, or in the other one, specifically Hollow Heart, every time when I say Izuku instead of Izu. Got it? Good. Oh god, this is definitely gonna be interesting. So, as Izuku... Okay, start the count now. Okay, Rex, I meant Rex, as you would feel magic? No, it's magecraft. More specifically, somebody summoning a servant? But how? As while he was thinking this, Ruby and, the rest of the, and the rest of the servants, or more specifically the servant that he had, that was escorting her, specifically, the Valkyries, would appear, as he would tell them about the situation. As when Izuku heard it, okay, Rex. After Rex heard it, he would start saying to himself, well, this is certainly going to be interesting. Or otherwise annoying, he would say that to himself. As Walter would say, hey partner, do you think this is, as you would say, yeah, you should probably start going. Do you know where in the direction they are? As he would say, or more specifically Ruby, I think they're probably going to the direction of the Emerald Forest. As after saying that, Rex would confirm it, sensing the magic energy of a servant nearby. As after saying that, they would start leaving, but while they were leaving, one of them, specifically Harmony, would say, so do you think that, as one of them would say, specifically the Valkyrie sisters, yes, we also sense a servant nearby, but it's not Archer, or even some of the other servants that you summoned. As after hearing that, he would say to himself, did I leave a magic circle? No, I always remember destroying them every time when I use one of them. As after saying so, you would finally arrive at the area. And let's just say it was an interesting sight. They would see Emiya, one of his top servants, almost nearly beaten, as he's currently panting, as you would say, Master, I think I'm tired out. I think you have to. As before he can say anything else, he would be slammed by the person that was attacking him. Izuku and the rest of Team Wrath would look over, including that the team, including that of RWBY and our girl, Valkyrie. As he would look up and would see, as the servant would reveal herself, as she would say, servant, berserker, and I will not let you touch my child, she would say, as she would fire off an arrow, as the arrow would create a storm of wind that would tear the entire area apart, as Rex and the rest of his teammates would dodge out of the way, with the help of Rex basically grabbing onto RWBY at the nick of time, as they would see the aftermath, a torrent of pure destruction itself. As we currently see Cinder watching on, the surprise. And so this is where we're gonna be ending off this episode. So yeah, bye bye.